Hey guys, it's Tom Albrecht here with the A-Team at Remax, first in Calgary with a market update. Please do hit the subscribe button and smash notifications if you want to know what's going on in the Calgary market. I'm your man. I've got a master's in economics from Oxford University. My wife's got a degree in finance. We're both realtors. I help people buy houses and she helps people sell houses for as much money as possible. What has happened since our last update? Well, number one, I haven't updated you enough. So mark my words, every month from here for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be updating you on exactly what's happening in the Calgary market. So it's actually was March or April last time that we spoke, we'll say, and we'll say things have softened significantly. Demand has come off across all housing types due to rising rates, and we have started to see a major division between more expensive properties and more affordable ones. And so what I mean by that is, if you remember your economics, there are two effects that happen when the price of something goes up. And so when I'm talking about price, what I mean is the interest rate. So the interest rate has gone up, so the price of money has gone up. And that affects affordability. It makes people demand a product, in this case real estate, less across the board. And that's the income effect. But there's also this substitution effect that occurs as well, and that it makes expensive product even more expensive. And so people will shift their spending into more conservative options. And so that is in particular the last month's data, the data that in our market report for September shows a clear division. And so actually Brianna and I we purchased in January a property to flip. It was from a builder. It was the weirdest flip ever. It was just over $1 million, and it was a brand new house in the West, in West Springs. And we developed the basement. We got the keys in May. We developed the basement, put some luxury features upstairs, and went to list it and sold it for $1,023,000, 1.23, and barely broke even. So why did that happen? Well, the plan obviously was to make profit, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, list it for 1.275, which we did, and we got a couple showings every day, but people were a little bit gun shy with rates going up, even though it was really the best priced product on the market when we listed it. So it took a little bit of time, but I was astounded actually by the fact that even though rates were 4 or 5%, we were still getting $2 million buyers in per day into that property. We eventually sold it for $1.23 million, and I actually feel pretty good about that, and that we didn't lose money despite a rising rate environment. And so, what's happened to different parts of the market since March, April? Well, I think that's indicative of the higher price market. The froth has come off entirely. It was already coming off when we last spoke in March, but the froth has gone away. There's no more extreme levels of multiple offers. There is sitting inventory in our marketplace, right? And so there is a crash, we'll call it, happening throughout Canada and a lot of the Western world, Vancouver market, BC, as well as Ontario, and a lot of markets that have pumped up during the pandemic are really starting to sit back. And a lot of the big banks are telling us that there's going to be significant reductions in home values over the foreseeable future, between now and the end of 2023. Is that going to happen in Calgary? Well, I don't think so. And this is when you say, oh, well, he's a realtor, he would say that, he's biased, he's got this, he benefits, when people buy and sell houses, of course he's going to say that. Well, no, we did real estate in another city. We did real estate in Fort McMurray for a long time. 2015 to 2019, prices were falling, we'll say about 10% per year. And the advice I was giving to clients was, hey guys, we're not seeing enough demand to support prices, given the amount of homes on the market. Prices are falling rapidly. Why don't we wait? Why don't you save 5, 10, 15, 20% more than what you have? And maybe we'll buy next year, the year after, and help trying to save people money, right? So that's our history. That's what we do. It's ethical. It's undivided loyalty. It's a bigger sense of duty. So no, I'm not biased because I don't care if my clients buy houses. I want you to buy a house if you want to buy a house. My job is to inform people, give you information so you can make the best decisions for your family. So What do I actually think is going to happen? Well, we've had, actually, let's put that aside for now. What's happening right now? Well, sentiment is negative. Generally speaking, the consensus is that while prices have been falling, the froth has come out of the market and prices have been steadily falling across most property types in most areas over the summer months, moderately. I mean, we're talking very moderate falls. So there's this mood of negativity. Whether it's news, global news, or which seems to be sort of negative, or national news regarding house prices. And so buyers and sellers, so we call them actors in the marketplace, go into it with a certain expectation. Oh, we're going to have to negotiate this much. Oh, what if we, sellers might be a bit nervous if we don't take our first offer or whatever. But then when you look at the stats, and you look at how many sellers and buyers there are in the marketplace, there's really not much for sale. There's actually less on the market today than there was this time last year and the year before. And so we actually have a very low base of inventory. There is fundamentally a housing shortage in Calgary, and we do still have high levels of people migrating to Alberta generally, and Calgary specifically. This pandemic effect, this remote work, it's still a thing. People are attracted by low taxes and affordable housing. So people are coming in, there's a housing shortage, but then on the flip side, we've got these rampant interest rates, which are making it very difficult to afford homes if you're heavily leveraged. Well, a lot of the buyers in the marketplace, they're not that heavily leveraged. People are buying with significant amounts of cash, actually. So it's very interesting that we've got sentiment on one side, but then when you actually look at how many homes are on the market, I think the absorption rate is sitting at about 2.5 months. So for every one listing that's sold in the month of September, there's about 2.5 sitting on the market. Well, 3 to 4 would be a balanced market. That's technically a seller's market indicator. Right, now, again, pull another one. New listings to sales ratio, I think it was 1.4 for the whole market. Whereas it needs to be 2 to be balanced. So it's still a seller's market. So it's very interesting. Actors in the marketplace generally feeling negative, but the numbers are telling us that actually prices, call me crazy, but they should be rising based on these stats. So it's very interesting as to what's going to happen in the future. Obviously, if there's a global recession, oil price can be in the toilet and all bets are off, right? Sure, there's tech diversification, but let's be honest, Calgary is still, and there's my dog Matilda, Calgary is still mainly driven by resource prices, right? Which will go in the toilet if there's any kind of recession. So that's like your wild card. Who knows what's going to happen there? If interest rates continue to go up, well, how high and how long and how far are they going to go? Obviously that impacts homeowners, not just people who are thinking about buying. The longer that goes on, the more people have to renew during that period. So, oh my God, I'm renewing my 2.8% mortgage and they're offering me 6%. Well, people make the decision, do I sell my additional houses in particular, maybe not my primary residence, but so we don't know about news, what's going to happen in the news. We don't know really what's going to happen in interest. And I think we all have a sense that they're going to continue going up and that the central banks are pretty focused on fighting inflation. And so whatever will be, will be. But I do want to state that we're in a very different position to Vancouver or Toronto and all the rest of it, because there are local jobs being created and there are people moving here that have employment elsewhere and who are coming here with wealth because of affordability and taxation and a whole bunch of reasons. So I know it sounds, it's probably a lot more positive than if you watch a bunch of YouTube videos by realtors in Calgary. I'm guessing, I haven't watched them, but I'm guessing that my view is a lot more positive. But I definitely am going to start doing this every month because I've got a lot to share with you. Next time I'm going to put some charts, I think, and sort of show you what's going on. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on and share my thoughts. In a nutshell, I don't know, but we're going to find out in short measure. And as soon as I know anything, I'm sharing with you. So do subscribe, like, ask whatever questions. We're curious to know what everyone's thoughts are on this, and we'll figure it out. The one thing I will say is that there's a huge divergence in the marketplace happening right now. So we look at actually a couple of markets, because we also have an old business in Fort McMurray that we still serve. And so when you look at in Fort McMurray, the number of listings is actually going up, which does not normally happen this time of year. It's people selling, there's nerves, want to sell because there's nerves, etc. So there's actually increasing inventory, which seasonally that almost never happens in real estate markets. Whereas in Calgary, it's inventory is falling, much like it did last year and the year before. And we all know what happened in January and February. So on that side, yeah, I can definitely imagine a picture where December, January, February, there's no inventory. Well, what happens if there's no inventory? Prices kind of have to go up. Whereas we don't see that in other markets. We're seeing the opposite effect. So there's a divergence between Calgary and other markets, and that's even a resource-based market. There's also divergence between higher priced, less affordable options. So $1 million plus for without condo fees, or $750 plus for properties with condo fees. Demand's come off. We've got 6 or 7 months of inventory in those price ranges. That's enough to start seeing prices come down, fairly rapidly. And so we're going to monitor that, right? That the move up market is stopping, it's kind of seizing. It's like an engine like stalling out. And you actually still maybe got a bigger incentive now to downsize a little bit sooner, if people are concerned with negative sentiment about prices. But then in the lower price ranges, you've got people who, well, do we rent in this very tight rental market still, right? Well, we don't want to buy a more expensive home, so we're going to buy. So like everyone's getting funneled into those lower price ranges, like let's say below 600,000 for detached homes, but there's decreasing inventory. So heads up, if you're thinking about selling, I talked to a seller today who's got a home to sell in the 450 range and a home to sell in the 1.4. Well, I have very different thoughts on that. I mean, his view is, hey, the news is, there's oil prices are going to go up, and so I should hold on to both. And our view is, well, sure, news is super important, but that's going to affect the stats in the future. If you have strong belief, then you need to go with that. But we tend to work on the stats today, and the stats today are telling us that your luxury home, let's get that painted up, let's get it gone, and the 450, there's certainly no rush from our perspective. Take your time. Let's see what happens. We can just keep it rented for a little bit. That's okay. I mean, who knows? Things could go up, and they could also go down and sideways. We'll find out. But if prices of affordable homes fall, it's not because of the stats today. It's not because of the news today. It's because something's going to happen in the future that's going to cause that to happen. That's everything from me. If you have any interest in purchasing or selling a home, or you just want to talk, just feel free to comment or give us a call. You can find our numbers all over the internet. It's Tom and Brianna Albrecht, the A-Team, and we promise to serve you and your friends and family with excellence. So that's it. Signing out, and I promise I'm going to be here with another update with more stats and data and next month at the beginning of November. So thank you very much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe and smash that notifications button.